Hey guys, I'm Steff and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the top 10 best eyeshadow palettes that I currently have in my stash. Last video I showed you guys the top 10 worst. I definitely have already decluttered some of those, but today it's all about the best. So if you want to see what made my top 10 list, keep on watching. And guys, if you're wondering about the makeup look, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to film it. I actually did this in the morning, getting ready for work, and I'm just getting home from work, but I did use the Glamlight Red Velvet Cupcake eyeshadow palette to get this look. I'm wearing the Ioni lashes that I just got, and for my lipstick, I've been living in this one from Jaclyn Cosmetics. This is her lip cushion in the shade Promised, but I will have everything that I'm wearing linked in the description box of this video in case you want to check it out. Head wrap is from Dollar Tree. Some of those links might be affiliate links, so if you do end up purchasing, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Let's dive into it, guys. These are going to be in no particular order. I'm not ranking them today. We're not doing that. We'll save that for another video. These are just going to be those top 10 palettes that I have in my stash that I've just really been impressed with, really been loving. And the first one is from ColourPop. This palette was released earlier this year, and this is the Malibu Barbie and ColourPop collaboration. I thought that this color story was nothing extra special. I thought, you know, it's cute. I think it goes with the Malibu Barbie theme. And then I got it home and I was really impressed with the quality. I was really impressed with the performance. I just got a good blend. I was able to create some pretty decent shades out of this palette. And I grew up with Barbie. I had so many Barbie dolls growing up. This just also tugs on my little heartstrings, the nostalgia. But I really think they released a nice collection. I did pick up the palette and I got the it was like a lip duo. I think there was 3 lip liners and 3 lipsticks, if I'm not mistaken. I know I have the lipsticks right behind me. And I think that was all I got from the collection. Oh, and I got the mirror. I have the mirror right here. So I do use the mirror quite a bit, but I really enjoy the palette. To my knowledge, it is still available, and I want to say it's like 20 bucks, 22 bucks maybe. It's a little higher price just because it is a collaboration, but it still doesn't break the bank. Next is also a recent buy, a recent palette to my stash, and it is a palette that went with me on vacation. It is the Urenzai Saga Freya Cat's Breath eyeshadow palette. So if you guys didn't know, I love cats, and I do have a cat. She is an elderly cat. She is almost 18 years old. So I love anything that has a cat on it. I'm immediately drawn to it. This palette, however, has a gorgeous color story. This is just extra special. The formula is fantastic. I got so many compliments on the first look that I created with this palette. I actually did it on the airplane because I'm a nervous flyer, so it kind of distracts me from where I'm at and what I'm doing. But I got so many compliments with the look I created. I'll put a picture of it right here. This is one of my favorite looks from this year. One of my favorite looks that I've done, and it was using this palette only. When this collection was released, they released 3 different palettes. One of the palettes was a dual-sided palette, so in essence you were getting like 4 palettes. I ended up buying the trio of palettes as well as the cosmetics bag and the brush set. Love the cosmetics bag, but the eyeshadows are definitely what made the impression, and this palette in particular. Guys, if you can pick up this palette, it is a Swedish-based indie makeup brand. I highly recommend the Urenzai Cat's Breath palette. It is one of their recent palettes. You will not be disappointed with this one, or actually any in the collection, but this one is definitely my favorite. Next up is a palette I reviewed about a week ago. Blown away with this palette. This palette is very easily a contender for best eyeshadow palette of 2021 here in my stash. And it is a super affordable eyeshadow palette. And I'm talking about the By Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. I'd never tried the By Beauty Bay brand before. And when I saw the color story released on Instagram, I was like, this is my palette. I need to have it ASAP. This almost didn't make it. It was lost in transit for a while. I was already losing hope. And then a few days later, after I reported it missing, it showed up at my door. So I'm so grateful that FedEx found it and delivered it safe and sound. Guys, this palette retails for $15. You get 20 different shades and you will not regret this purchase. In my opinion, this is the perfect palette to transition you from summer to fall to winter and then bring you back into spring and summer. The color story is it's just spot on. I love all of these shades. They all performed so well. The shimmer shades were fantastic. The matte shades were great. They built up, they blended out. You get a good range of shades in this palette, and you do get a full-size mirror with it for $15, guys. It is available right now at Beauty Bay. This was my first go round with the By Beauty Bay brand, and I look forward to adding more to my stash. Next, we have another palette that was released this year. And that is the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette. This is part of their travel series. Guys, this is a very special, very good eyeshadow palette. Guys, I think, and I've said this before, but I'm more confident saying it now after I've used this palette several other times. I think this is better than the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin eyeshadow palette. And that is a very good palette. This, I just love the color story a little bit better than I do that one. I think performance-wise, they're pretty much on par. But this one, I just find it to be extra special. I just love the mixture of shades, the different tones. I like the purples and reds, and you have this dark green right there. I just love the mixture. To me, this palette, and not that I've been, but this palette does remind me of Paris, but Paris in fall and winter. This is another great palette to add to your stash if you're looking for something new for fall, winter 2021. I mean, don't reserve it just for that time of year either. This is beautiful and it's only $20. The quality is impeccable. Next, we have another BH Cosmetics palette, which I think may or may not be available. I know it was brought back this year. It was originally released last year. And I'm talking about the Sweet Shop Pistachio palette. You guys know I love a good green eyeshadow, and this palette definitely does not lack green eyeshadow. This is a stunning palette and it performs so well, as do all of the palettes in this Sweet Shop collection. I was able to collect them all. This was one of my first buys from that collection. I bought this one and Cotton Candy and I think it was Cherry on Top. I bought those three together and then I slowly just added the other ones into my stash. But I love this. This is such a beautiful palette. You can create so many different looks with it. And of course, feel free to bring in other palettes to break up all of the greenery that is in this one. But these shimmer shades, guys, if BH Cosmetics does anything well, I think it is shimmer shades. They have always, in my opinion, produced amazing shimmer shades as well as highlighters. That's always been my favorite part about BH Cosmetics. And this palette, this is stunning. If you love green eyeshadow, if you can still find this available, definitely add it to your stash. Next is my very first Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette. And unfortunately, I don't think this is available anymore. This is the Deuce by Juvia's. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Deuce by Juvia's. This is a very pretty palette. I do need to be careful because this pan kind of pops out from time to time and the shadow or the shade is a little bit broken. but this is what the color story looks like. I thought it was such a unique color story, and I remember just eyeing this palette on the Ulta Beauty website, and I kept eyeing it, and then finally I took the plunge and I bought it. Very first time trying Juvia's Place, and I was absolutely floored. The quality of their shadows is top notch, and they are so affordably priced. This is a 9-pan palette. This is one of their larger size palettes, and I wish I could say it was still available, but I'm pretty sure it is no longer made. I think if you can find it, you might be able to find it on the Juvia's Place website. I'm just gonna swatch a couple of these shades for you here. Just do them like this, but it is just such a stunning palette. And guys, even though you might not be able to get this one, Juvia's Place has so many fantastic palettes. If you want to try like a larger palette, which I kind of recommend going that route just so you can try a little bit of everything, go for some of the Wahala palettes. They have a Wahala 1 and a Wahala 2. Those are beautiful palettes. I almost included, I almost included the Wahala 2 palette, which is more of like a blue, purple, green tone palette in this lineup. That was definitely an honorable mention. But yeah, guys, Juvia's Place, you're not gonna go wrong. Their shadows are extremely pigmented, and they just keep adding more and more things to their lineup. I did order the brow products. Those should be here tomorrow, so I'll definitely be trying those on camera for you all soon. Hoping I got the right shade, we'll see. But if you've ever wondered about Juvia's Place, you don't have to think any longer. Definitely pick up a palette. Next up is the Menagerie and Annette's Makeup Corner collaboration eyeshadow palette. This is the Serenity palette, and to my knowledge, this is Annette's very first collaboration, and I was so happy for her when she announced the release of this gorgeous eyeshadow palette. This is a beautiful color story, and this is my very first experience with Menagerie Cosmetics. Unfortunately, I don't think this palette is available. There were very few palettes produced. Not too sure why. I know it is a small indie makeup brand, and they did do a restock. I bought this on the first launch, and I want to say the restock just happened like a couple weeks ago. You might want to check the Menagerie website to see if it's going to come back again. I'm really hoping it does, because I think Menagerie and Annette did a fantastic job with the color story of this eyeshadow palette. I do remember Annette saying that people were going to be surprised that this didn't have a matte black in it, since she always likes to have matte black in her palettes, but she said she felt like we had enough of those and she wanted to include another colorful shade, and I'm really glad she did. Again, you guys know I love green shadows. These two shades are goals for me, as well as this shade right here, and I love mixing orange and blue together. I think that is such a beautiful color combination. If you're able to pick it up, hopefully they'll release it again. I would definitely check this out. Next is an eyeshadow palette. Again, first time trying this brand, and they're actually getting ready to release another eyeshadow palette, collaboration palette, same as the one I'm going to show you, and that is from BPerfect Cosmetics. This is the Carnival 3 Love and Tahiti Stacie MUA collaboration eyeshadow palette. This palette is and will always be one of my most favorite eyeshadow palettes, because you have all of the colors, all of these gorgeous colors. I mean, I just like this area right here. I absolutely love. Of course, the green and blue area over here, I absolutely love. You can just do anything and everything with this palette. You also get a matte black down here. This is not the blackest of black shades, but for me and my fair to light skin tone, it is the perfect matte black shade for me. This palette is goals. This palette needs to be in your collection because it is that good. They are coming out with a new palette, something rose. I forget the name of it. It hasn't fully been released yet. They're releasing like a row at a time, like sneak peeking each row until they release the full color story. But it looks gorgeous. Like, it is going to be the same size as this one. I want to say I paid I paid less than $50 for this palette. It was definitely less than $50. I don't remember offhand. This is a European indie brand, but I forget which country. Is it Germany? It doesn't say it on here, but I think this is a German-based indie makeup brand. I forget. I know it's over there in Europe, and it's shipped from over there as well. I just love it. I love this palette. I know it's a larger size palette. Not everybody goes for a palette this size. But believe me, if you pick this one up, you will thank me for years and years and years because it is such a good palette. Next up is the ABH Norvina Vol II palette. To be honest, guys, I love all of these ABH Norvina palettes. Like, it was really hard just to pick one palette. I do have them all. I collect them. I think they are really great quality. These are pressed pigments, so they're technically not eyeshadows. This is what Volume 2 looks like. Of course, it is a more blue and green leaning palette of the bunch. And I've just enjoyed this palette so much. I've done a lot of looks with it. It never disappoints me. The matte shades are incredible. And they do blend out, they do pack on. This is an intense palette. They all are. They all, in my opinion, perform so well. This is a little bit of a pricey palette. It retails for $60, but you're getting 25 different shades. I have yet to be disappointed with any of these palettes. I think that the quality and performance of these ABH Norvina Pro Pigment palettes is so much better than the traditional ABH eyeshadow palettes, and I have a lot of those, but these are definitely a favorite in my stash. And last but not least, we have the Glamlight and Mikayla collaboration palette. I said this when I was trying this palette out for the first time. I said that this is the best Glamlight palette they've ever done, and I stand by that. I think that this was an amazing collaboration. It's kind of similar to the ice cream palette, although this does have deeper tones. And I have the cake palette right here so that I can show you guys a comparison really quick. So they are pretty much similar in size. This is the cake palette, and I just got this one. You guys know I did a look with it the other day. And then this is the Mikayla palette. So let's see right here. So you can kind of see, yes, there are some similarities. If you don't have the cake palette, most definitely get the Mikayla palette. I had the Mikayla palette first, but I always wanted the cake palette, so hence why it's here. But Glamlight is definitely one of my favorite indie makeup brands. I love food, and I love food themed makeup. I am one of those that never gets tired of seeing food themed makeup. Now, some food makeup is like, ooh, I don't know, are we really doing that? But for the most part, I will typically give food themed makeup a chance, especially when it's Glamlight, and that is usually all they do. This is actually one of the only palettes they have. Maybe it is the only palette they have that is not food themed. And guys, I had never heard of Mikayla. I didn't know who Mikayla was until they announced this collaboration with Glamlight. I quickly looked her up. She is a big TikTok star. I don't have TikTok, I just use Instagram, so I started following her on Instagram, and she's fantastic. I think the videos that she does for TikTok, she brings some of them over to Instagram, and I love that just because I don't have that platform. But her and Glamlight really knocked it out of the park with this one. I mean, if you've never tried Glamlight before, and maybe you're not all about the food theme makeup like I am, this would be a fantastic starting point. I think this is the best that Glamlight has ever done. I am so proud to have this one in my stash. All right, guys, so that wraps up today's video. I want to hear from you now. You guys saw my top 10 best palettes currently in my stash. what are some of your favorites? Like, what is your #1 favorite palette right now that you currently have in your stash? Leave it in the comments down below and let me know what you thought about my top 10 picks. Don't feel bad, guys, if I didn't pick some of the palettes that are on your top 10 list. There are definitely other palettes that I have that are easily some of my favorites, but just because I'm trying to narrow it down, obviously I couldn't include all of them, but I mean, there's Kaleido's palettes that I adore. There's more Urenzai palettes I adore. More of these Norvina palettes that I adore. Some e.l.f., some Wet n Wild. I mean, I have to say I have way more good than bad in my stash. And I hope you guys have the same as well. And guys, I will have all 10 palettes listed and linked in the description box of this video in case you want to check any of them out. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink that water. Cheers. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.